completely confident that Bitcoin will compete with gold. So that's the macro trend. That's the multi-decade trend that we're talking about.
So Max Keiser, this week you tweeted a serious Bitcoin shortage is developing as supply on exchange dries up. Prices will start gapping higher, looking for sellers. What do you mean by this, Max Keiser?
Well, remember the old peak oil or peak gold arguments that we are running out of oil or we're running out of gold. That, of course, is not true. But in the case of Bitcoin, because it is absolutely scarce and because the demand is approaching infinity, we are potentially hitting peak Bitcoin, where it will become increasingly impossible for the average mom and pop to acquire Bitcoin, because all the 900 coins per day that are generated through mining will be sucked up by the institutions and it'll never hit the market. And what we're seeing on the exchanges, all the major exchanges, is that their inventory of coin that they keep on hand to make markets is disappearing. They're running out of coins. And very few coins are coming into the market. And just the four biggest institutional buyers, including Cash App and Digital Currency Group and a couple of others, their daily demand is almost 3,000 coins. They only have 900 per day are being created. There's outstripping demand to supply already 3 to 1. That's going to go to 10 to 1, 21 to 100 to 1. And then it doesn't really make any difference because you just won't be able to get any.
What can you reveal about your 2021 Bitcoin forecast? Obviously higher than the last time we spoke. A range, something.
Right. Yeah, well, I think it's higher. You know, it's a lot higher. For 2021, we have, it's funny, the exchange between Elon Musk and Michael Saylor was that Michael Saylor said the most, Peter Schiff, of course, focused on the stupid thing that doesn't mean anything. He missed the forest for the trees. He missed the point, as he always does. Saylor said to Elon Musk, "I will share my playbook with you." Okay, that was the key phrase. In other words, Saylor is talking to CEOs all over the world,
yeah,
and telling him how he did it, right? Because he knows that if he gets 10, 20, 30, 40 more companies to do the same thing, that Bitcoin price is going to get to where it needs to go a lot faster, right? So it's in his own self-interest. This is game theory played out amongst multi-billionaires globally, and the big losers are the central banks. I'll make this prediction for 2021.
We reported that Bitcoin would displace gold. That is turning out to be true. You see it in the numbers. You see people selling gold ETFs and you see them buying Bitcoin ETFs like GBTC. And now the biggest fund manager in the world, which is BlackRock, they manage $7 trillion. BlackRock CIO says Bitcoin will take the place of gold to a large extent. Bitcoin's network effect has forced traditional financiers to change their tune on the digital currency. And this is BlackRock's CIO of fixed income. He told CNBC last Friday, his name is Rick Reeder. He said Bitcoin is here to stay. While conceding that he is not a Bitcoin bull, Reeder said the flagship currency will, quote, take the place of gold to a large extent because it is so more functional than passing a bar of gold around.
Right. This is a remarkable statement because we've heard the argument that Bitcoin is gold 2.0, that it's superior to gold, but that has come from the internet, from social media, from heterodox thinkers like ourselves. It's not come from a $7 trillion managed fund like BlackRock. And we're hearing it from other folks like Paul Tudor Jones, Stan Druckenmiller, and all. There's $100 trillion out there that looking for a home as part of the managed money environment. They are 7% of that $100 trillion. If only 1 or 2 or 3% of that money goes into Bitcoin, that means the price triples overnight. Right. Well, BlackRock is, I believe, the biggest purveyor of the ETF market, the exchange traded funds, and those are derivatives. And there's more ETFs than there are stocks. There's a few thousand stocks, and there are many more actual ETFs that are packaged to reflect the underlying number that is the price, but it's not actually ownership. And so that's a derivative based on a virtual security. So my patent, the virtual specialist, is how do you make markets, virtual markets, using virtual securities and a virtual currency? So that's why they would reference that, and they probably have come out with their own intellectual property to move in that direction. And in the case of Bitcoin, of course, it's the private key owners that make a difference. And this is why we'll never have the problem we have in gold. With gold, it's driven by derivatives traders and is highly centralized. And so the gold price is very slow and lethargic. Bitcoin is decentralized, and it's impossible to control from a centralized player. As a matter of fact, it is always spinning out toward decentralization. So it has two properties that gold wishes it did have, but it doesn't have. And then add on top of that the absolute scarcity, which gold doesn't have that either, plus the utility value. Okay, yes, I can store my value in it and I can use it for payments. That's true. You add this all up, and you can understand why Paul Tudor Jones, Stan Druckenmiller, Bill Miller over there at his major fund group.
He has his own fund, but he used to be at Legg Mason, which is a massive asset management company as well. So Bill Miller was early in Bitcoin years ago. Abby Johnson from Fidelity. So these are major institutions with trillions of dollars under management, even beyond anything that Paul Tudor Jones or Stan Druckenmiller or the hedge fund guys manage. These are big portfolio managers in the Bitcoin space now.
Right. I mean, this is like when gorillas mate. You know, it makes quite a ruckus. Well, my first prediction was in 2011 when I said I'm looking for Bitcoin to go to 100,000. So that was that prediction is still in place from 2011. Okay, almost 10 years ago. So that's my long-standing prediction. I recently increased that to 400,000 because I now am completely confident that Bitcoin will compete with gold. So that's the macro trend. That's the multi-decade trend that we're talking about. Now, within that series of predictions, or within that series of price targets, you've got medium and short-term price targets. On the short term, obviously the run to 20,000 is key, because that would make new all-time highs.
Now saying that they believe Bitcoin will go to 318,000 by next year. And a lot of people will say, oh, that's ridiculous, because who has 318,000? Well, these guys have 318,000. They have several $trillion. $318,000 is like a lunch tab for them.
Right. Remember, Bitcoin is the black hole of money, and it sucks everything in. All fiat money will be sucked in by Bitcoin. Gold pricing will be sucked in by Bitcoin. All stores of value will be eclipsed by Bitcoin. Everything in the planet Earth will be priced in Bitcoin as we head into hyper-Bitcoinization. The Mona Lisa will be priced in Bitcoin. Fabergé eggs will be bought and sold in Bitcoin. And it'll be the most sought after commodity in the multiverse. And those who are without any will be feeling like they're
gorillas in the mist.
Gorillas in the midst. In the
mist.
Yeah, the mist. That's where the gorillas hang out in the mist. They mate. Or like the elephants mating. You know, the earth moves is what I'm trying to say. The earth moves. When the thundering herd of BlackRock and Citibank and Bank of America and Paul Tudor Jones,
Fidelity,
the wildebeests of the money world, Fidelity and the buffalo, they go on a rampage and the earth moves. And this is what's happening now in Bitcoin. The biggest money managers in the world are thundering across the open plains toward a price point called 300,000 to $1 million. And everyone in the path is trying to grab as many Satoshis as they possibly can to take advantage of this once in a millennial multiversal phenomenon.